Oh, it doesn't.
Can you hear us?
I'm happy for you to start our live stream. Tonight I'll open our council meeting with our council prayer. Tēnui tātou. Ka tuku mātou ke kāwainga nāngai ko whiriwhiri e o te kaingira o te ko tika ki te mai me te ngāka auaha, me te haka mahi ngā pūkinga me te mātauranga i roto i ngā wānanga me ngā hakataunga kia ka tūri ai te tai apuri matatika ana. Tūkotahi ana ka mutu ka piki anō i te oranga o ko tātou rohe, ka ka taona o ngā take o te rohe i runga i te tika mitu. Therefore, we ask that through council discussions and decisions, the ratepayers we have elected may govern the Whānau district with imagination, skill and wisdom to achieve a fairer and more united community that enhances the well-being of our district and solves the district's problems efficiently and effectively. Amen. I will make apologies for Councillor and Councillor Seconder. Thank you, Deputy Sheffield, very much. Those property or abstentions, that is carried. By way of more announcements, it is Okoro in Waimaramawhaka, which is a good energy phase. So I think that Councillor McNally said that our agenda is so light, we're going to get through this in half an hour. What's going? Okay, we're going to hurry up. So some energy going around. It's also the school holidays. I mean, there's some awesome activities on out and about across the far north, including in Amahitu, the Waitangi Treaty Ground, to have free entry for New Zealanders this week. So hopefully we get some tourists or manuhiri coming up to spend their money up here. Great to have the Brenduans open as well. We'll jump straight into item 5.1 on page 6. Computer movement for our confirmation brief. Thank you. Second by Councillor McNally. Anything from you, Corpo? Councillor McNally? Any other members pick anything up in our minutes? All right, we'll put that to the vote. All in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed or abstentions? That's carried. We go to item 7.2, our community minutes on page 166. Thank you. Like to be the seconder. Councillor Research. Our first lot of minutes are from our Tuku community board. So, community board chair Gardner, I'm happy to pass over to you to speak to your community board.
Thank you. So we had a present public forum who spoke to Carolyn Saulo, who represented the BY Ki Kaitaia Pukepoto. Speaking about looking after the town square in Kaitaia and being sort of like ambassadors there. So I've been forwarded on her conversation to the council members here, and I would really like to hear back as to what the next steps are, please. Our ambassadors are looking after this area. So in our meeting, we had a lot of money to distribute because being at the end of our financial year, there was quite a bit of funding and a lot of applications, as you can see. We're very strategic in how we actually distributed that money, being infrastructure and a couple of events, and the actual leftover funding, which is on our meeting, our extraordinary meeting on page 191 and 192, was funded the infrastructure that was really needed at the Kaitaia new Sports Hub. So that completed our year of funding. Thank you.
Fantastic. We'll go to our Bay of Islands Fund or Community Board Chair. Orr.
Thank you, Mimuka. I'll just take it as read and would like to take this opportunity to thank councillors and yourself for the support through the long-term plan of our placemaking fund and retaining our town beautification fund. It means a lot to our communities. It's not all that we do, but it's definitely a core part of our business as we represent and advocate on behalf of our communities and amazing volunteers. So this money means a lot more than we realise to our small communities and villages. And just look forward to the next financial year of spending that on ratepayers' behalf for the betterment of everybody. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Kaikoura Community Board Chair.
O tēnā koutou katoa morena. Just to total for both the previous board chairs, we were really happy to distribute the funding that we did. We gave a little bit extra to Sportsville for their fencing application, just ensuring that we spent every little bit we had in our kitties. So that was awesome, and yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lucic. Any commentary?
No, all good. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, members, Deputy Minister.
Just want to acknowledge the boards for their diligence. I know that you've had a big mad rush to have your extraordinary ability to disperse the remaining funds, and you didn't. You managed to get yours done on your last meeting, Belinda, but so well done. When I was looking through the applications and where the money went, I know they will be used wisely and well received. Well done. Thank you.
Sorry, just one thing that I will mention. I have asked for some data back regarding funding, just because I'm not aware of the history of the funding, and I just want to be sure that our board anyway is making sure that all our areas are being supported as equally as we possibly can. And I know that some areas apply more than others. Often that's because they have people in their communities that have that expertise or that knowledge to apply. And I want to be able to tap, on the shoulders of other communities that may not have those people as available to apply for funding, just to make sure that particularly our little communities where there may, be kuia kaumātua and looking after mokopuna rather than people that are in business or have a business sense perhaps that don't have the access to technology and or have any idea about funding. So I've requested that information just so that I can, so that our board can look over it to be aware of areas that may not have applied in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, and maybe we can do something about that.
That sounds great idea. When I previously was on Kaikoura Community Board, we requested that level of information for footpath, metres of footpaths per town, so we could see if there was a way we could utilise our funding for communities maybe had none at all. It sounds like something that, is it the infrastructure group have just RFS hotspotted heat net,
Yes.
water and fire. It sounds like something that would be good for the funding for the water net and then you see what's not hot and
Yes.
what would potentially benefit. Keep us in the loop on it. Say aye. As opposed to abstentions, that is carried. We go to item 6.1 on page 28. And the recommendation is that we Council appoint Graham Wright, DLC, and appoint John Thorne as a commissioner and chair to our DRC, and this is there too. I'll move. Thank you, Councillor McNally. Seconder.
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Research. Councillor McNally,
Yeah, I know both these chaps. Good recommendation.
Councillor Research.
Yes, don't really know them, but I quite, I know the work's been done. It'd be nice to actually see CV, that might actually help us. But that's what it nearly does, so I approve.
Any other members? Councillor Kappa.
In regards to the decision, I just wanted to pick up a point on page 29 at the bottom, reading prerequisites. And I wondered whether that item is highlighted in the recommendation. It refers to a prerequisite where the member, it is essential that the member is familiar with basic te reo, navigation and tikanga custom. Noting also in the area on page 31 where there's advantages, disadvantages, but none of that comment was made there. So I just wanted to highlight that. And like Councillor Usage, it would be really good to have a CV so we get an understanding and ensuring that the applicants are meeting the prerequisites.
Thank you, and noted. We'll go to Deputy Shepard, then Councillor Hauke Harawira.
What Councillor Kappa has raised, I think it would be good if staff would respond to that. When I was on the DLC as chair, we had a rigorous vetting process, and so I would like to get a bit of understanding on how the new member and all the current members are meeting the prerequisites. But I wanted to just inquire as to what the spread of the work has been. I know that Commissioner Clearwater will be doing bulk of the on the papers decisions, but have the likes of Lisa been able to sit on a hearing yet, and how are we addressing that? Because the last time I spoke to her, she hadn't, and I just wanted to see how we're managing to influence the chair who makes the decision on who sits on his panel. See whether we're addressing that. Thank you, Kahika.
If we could get a response from staff.
I think our Group Manager of Delivery and Operations.
Yes, through the chair, certainly. As you will have seen in the text there, the problem has been to date getting a sufficient quorum of members available because of sickness and availability and that sort of thing. So I understand that's why Lisa has not been available to date. Certainly that's part of the rationale there. Is I've got a subject matter expert here, Katie Wati-Dennis, who works for me, who comes under. And I think she will probably bear out the fact that a lot of us are constrained by law. But certainly Councillor Kappa's cost directive requirement is something that we can look into, and on a single council basis can adapt and put that in, I believe, do some investigation on that, legally speaking. Does that make sense?
Just further to the Te Reo Māori aspects, the legislation changed last year and it came into effect 1st of July that hearings would provide for, more bracing of Te Reo Māori with translators and, karakia being conducted, embracing Te Ao Māori tikanga. So I know this is outside of the recommendation scope, but it's, just
it would be good to have an update on how we're addressing the changes in the legislation, and I think it ties in with what Councillor Kapa was raising around the Te Reo Māori aspects of the prerequisites that we've set.
Certainly, and I think we can give you a reply next week.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Hamida.
Julia, just to say,
Katie's just got something she'd like to add, and I think it's worth listening to. Sorry,
Morena. In respect to Te Reo and tikanga, so of the number of applications we receive, only a few go to hearing. We've recently introduced, as a result of the changes to the legislation, where we had to introduce Te Reo and tikanga into the hearings. We reach out to hearing parties and ask them if they need translators, so that's something that we've recently implemented. We've also implemented karakia too, where it's appropriate, depending on the attendees, the hearing parties who first language is not English, so they struggle. So that's in respect to that, but I do acknowledge that we can do more in that space. With regards to the spread of work, by default, applications go to Commissioner Clearwater. However, when it comes to hearings, we canvass the pool to ask who's available, but also I ask for conflicts of interest because we need those declarations because they can't serve on the panel otherwise. And in respect to Member McNabb, Lisa McNabb, she's on a hearing. It just depends on availability. She hasn't been available in some of the other ones, and we do very few. So.
Thank you.
Councillor Hamida.
Hi, Julia, just to say, I can recall Councillor Court saying that she had a heck of a workload on this committee, but when I spoke with Lisa McNabb, she said, well, she's very rarely called up at all, and just sort of texted to say that she's been 3 hearings in Te Haku and she's only been called up for the one that's upcoming. And so I suppose all I'm saying is there's a committee member that can be available for some of these committee hui. That's all. And she has Te Reo and tikanga, and I'm not talking about what we're talking about is that we nominated people for this committee and she doesn't feel that she's been called up as, and especially in the Te Haku area.
We've got some contrast of what we're hearing from staff with what elected members are hearing. So I suggest that maybe Hayley or someone in the team guy might just want to give her a call because I wouldn't want there to be a contrast in the sentiments that people get. And Councillor Kapa, you're taking a very extended breath between one time you get to speak. So if you want to continue with that one.
Sorry, because I struggle with my asthma for my extended breath. But what I was really trying to say was, the second time was, I understand that the authority has a list of these members, and it'd be really good to know, to understand, to have an idea of the type of people on that list.
Thank you. All right, we'll put that, sorry. Put it to a vote. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that's carried. We go to item 6.2, the Te Tai Tokerau Regional Accessibility Strategy, which is on page 38. Moved by Councillor Research. Seconded by Councillor Shepard. Councillor Research.
I know Councillor McNally got me under the clock, so I'll be quick. I think it's a great report. Good to see the key goals listed there. I do, they're actually board goals. And I know it's way across the region, it'd be nice to actually break it down to some of the key projects that's been done and timelines that all reports. I'm not saying it's not going to be changed, it's just the more detailed plan that I'd like to see coming through. I had another question really for start, and a question from the south as well, Dave and I, and that is the cycle trail has raised the same thing, getting accessibility onto the trail, trams and mobility scooters and so on. and also the ability students in town would have wide enough, especially around climate villages and aged care areas, so they can get into town. Because I've seen when people on footpaths taking the whole footpath up in some places, so that could be some detailed projects. So thank you. Nice report.
Did we restrict further?
This, oh my goodness, there was a workshop in here at the beginning of this triennium with the Disability Action Group and some of the staff. So it's good to see the strategy finally complete, and I support the adoption. It does say that we wouldn't have an implementation plan until annual plan or next LTP. So it would be helpful if staff could, speak to how we're going to be capturing what the Disability Action Group prioritised in this regional accessibility strategy now. Because the Disability Action Group council funds, and they meet regularly through the year. For those that aren't aware, they're actually organising a workshop for staff and elected members, and they raise issues at that point to council that are long time issues that haven't been addressed, like footpaths that are uneven, driveway, verges that aren't even. So, yeah, I don't know if Shane or somebody else is able to speak to in lieu of the implementation plan, which probably won't be done till next annual plan or LTP. How are we going to capture the do's over the next year?
Through the chair, the implementation plan will happen before the annual plan and the next long-term plan. If there's funding required, that's where we'll ask for those resources. And each council will have their own implementation plan, but we anticipate starting that pretty quickly.
Oh,
once it's done.
Wonderful to hear.
And Jordan from DAG was part of the working group. So
Yes,
hopefully
fabulous.
we've captured all that.
Thank you. I'm happy.
It's all right,
Kia ora, hari koa nahu ki te kite I tēnei mōtini kei muri a tātou. I te mea ka hakaroa I ki te tini o ngā te hunga whaikaha. Ia hau e ki te ana ki rungi te wharingi tore te kaima ki te ana hau rua te kaima iwa. Oro ngā tāngata whaikaha I roto I Aotearoa. Ka mutu kāwari I tino aro ana ki kupu, te spectrum o tēnei mea te tangata whaikaha. No rere hakaro ana ki te hunga kaumātua rawa, te hunga, taiohi tēnei tangata. E rangi mo te hunga kaumātua, me wa tātou, taonga wa tātou tamariki whaika, I roto I tā mātou whānau, ko I tahi tamariki, I roto I te tini o ngā hapori iti nei ki te anau, ko te Māori whanoho tuarua mai, I runga whaikaha I roto I Aotearoa no reira ki te kiti I tēnei me ka tātou aro ki te āwhina ki te tiaki a rātou I roto I ngā wahi katoa I roto I te taipokero me te hiku o te kapuana he ripota tino pai tēnei mena kore o ki Shane e mea nei ki te anau ki rungi te whārangi tore te kauma iwa e pāni pene ana however most actions can be covered by businesses as usual with their budgets. So, e pai ki tēnā mehemea he pūtia tātua tā tātou, kei tautaki a rātou, ako taku I hihia kia aro kua no ki hera I roto I tā mātou rautaki, mahere rautaki.
Just noting that I know this is a regional accessibility strategy, but this just for the sake of consistency, at Te Kuaka we had our Waimana Arts, Culture and Heritage strategy come to us with the option of going out for publication on that strategy. This one we're just directly adopting with no mention whatsoever or options within this paper to even consult. Now I'm not vocal, not saying anything about it. I'm just saying I think we have like a matrix of when or where or why, because I don't understand. It just seems like almost like flip a coin if we're going to deciding on something. So if we could just make sure we have consistency across how we approach things like this. It was just something that Councillor Lisa tried to reply. All right, we've got that to a vote. All those in favour say aye. Opposed or abstention? That is carried. Go to item 6.3 on page 76. And we put forward the question. Councillor McNally, second.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Councillor Kriskovich. Second. Second. Councillor Kriskovich, can you comment?
No, I'm fully supportive of the motion. I was contacted, however, by one of the organisations in Paitaya who were willing to allocate some of their time in Kaimai to do some mahi at the park. And there was some issue there with them, and obviously the neighbour and council. So the organisation is the organisation that's run by Katie Murray, which is Waitomo. I can understand the sensitivities in terms of why the neighbour perhaps kicked up a bit of a stink, but I think if we got an organisation like that that's going to bring 8 or 9 people to tidy up at the historic reserve, we don't know the answer to some meeting. I think we should take up that opportunity. I'm not sure if our CEO is aware of it, but I have been contacted by someone in the organisation as to why they weren't allowed to do some mahi, like participated in enhancing this environment there and supporting. They had the support of Kuia from that area, Ngāti Roeti, who's Rere Moana. She's one of the main Aura Kuia of Ngāti Kau, and she rang quite disappointed that there was a breakdown in comms, and our council had notified that organisation that they were not to do that because they didn't have the right health and safety. So I just see that as a not a distraction, but perhaps as an excuse as to why they didn't want them there. Obviously, that Waitomo organisation is an organisation that helps to rehabilitate some of our troubled whanauna and reintegrate them back into society after they've spent time in the Hinaki or the Wharehere. So I think it's a missed opportunity.
Councillor
Ai, kia ora, tautoko ngā tōrero tēnei taui. And I just have to sort of, I agree with the summaries in here. I just found things work in mysterious ways. This email just flicked up at me this morning from Margaret Mutu, which was sent in February, and I don't think it came to through our submission process. And I just wanted to read that and tautoko what Penny Taui said. Waitangi Tribunal found that Rangitoto was never alienated by mana whenua, and in summary, to vest the land back to mana whenua and to determine how it is managed and Whānau District Council to carry out that management. And that was sent by Margaret Mutu 12th of February. So I was hoping that could be added to the mix anyhow. I do agree with the summary in here. And just talking, we had the Waitomo Angels yesterday at Lake Ngātu. And so what it was is quite distressing listening to, and again, another long saga where, the weeds are growing, a metre high every time we delay on this issue. And so having heard the speakers at Te Heku Community Board, I asked for Waitomo Papakainga Angels if they would send a crew in to just do some basic clearance work. But it did become a bit of a nightmare because NRC and FNDC had committed to pay contractors and then there was wanted a list of volunteers. Anyhow, it was just easy to cancel it. But yeah, I just think that if there's a chance to use, local volunteers to get something that obviously the council isn't getting done, let's do it. But moving on. So we did have them yesterday and they did a wonderful job cleaning up the lake, and today their building stands for our waka ama, and they're paying service back to their community. But just the tautoko this, and also the work of Te Huku Community Board that have, well, Adele can talk about that better than me, but who have long been on this case, and it's good to see it, come to this point, and I hope that there's something that we're waiting for as a management plan, which we passed in August, but Adele was the one who really knows more about it.
We'll go to Chair Gardner, then Councillor McNally.
Thank you, Mayor Wilcox. Just want to say that this has been an ongoing issue for our board now for the last 6 or 7 years, and I just would like to thank Robin Wilson for her work on this and bringing it to our community board and how we wanted this to fold out. So I agree with what's been said, and I'm very, very happy to see this on the agenda today and become, hopefully, eventually a historic reserve for Vaughan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McNally.
Yeah, I'll just following on from Paihula's chat there. I note on the bottom of page 70 it refers to the important and impressive large bar of traditional importance to Ngāti Kahu. My question was, what is the impact of the historic classification to that significance to Ngāti Kahu? The final paragraph on page 77 probably supports that. But if it was to be transferred under the Waitangi Tribunal, for instance, is there any restrictions by the historic reserve status? That was my question.
Go on. If you get someone to respond.
For you, sorry?
Through the chair. Kia ora koutou. The Rangitoto Reserve is largely protected under the Pouhere Taonga Act, and so the historic classification doesn't so much provide further protection as instead provide a clear vision for management. So, and there are no current, certainly in terms of the submissions, there were no submissions asking for that land to be divested at this time, but if there was a time in the future where that process was being looked at, these things could be reversed. Well, not protection under the Pouhere Taonga Act, but the reserve classification and vesting.
Thank you. Councillor Fiskovich, right to reply.
Okay, that part in particular, there's two parts at the moment. We harbour entrance there. One's Rangi Kapiti, one's Rangi Toto. I think in future, I'll think, and Robin, thank you for your money. We just should be mindful that any land that hasn't been divested in Arohe of an iwi that hasn't yet been settled, given that it's such a site, a significant site, we should always be under the impression that it will be divested at some stage. I was just wondering as to why the historical and not a recreational reserve, this is a similar situation where the Mori Mahi land is involved, where we're talking about, in terms of Mori Mahi. So, I mean, the historical reserve is good in the sense that, it'll be protected, but it doesn't allow for any dwellings or anything like that to go on in the future. Is that right?
Through the chair, yes, that's right. If there's a parcel of land that includes areas that are historic and other areas that should have different uses, then you can apply a classification over one part of not another. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, the reason why I'm saying that is because the entirety of the land parcels around that area, they're not owned by Māori, they're owned by non-Māori. So if that's a historic reserve, you can pretty much count your bottom dollar that that's further dislocating any Māori from utilising that land in the future, whether for whatever purposes, whatever the purposes. So the historical reserve works well for the people in that area because there's going to be no dwelling there, and there's actually no access there, no direct driving access, because road to that whenua is own public road. So I think we need to, be more considerate and take our time. And I see some of the names of the people that you're working here, but like Ngāti Rue, Te Matarahu, Whaingarohi, but then, and the Ngāti Kahuri in particular, which is migratory, when we're working in an area like that where there is no settlement, you need to be a lot more diligent and think about the reasons why we're actually making it a reserve, because it's protecting it, but it's further alienating people from that path with the historic reserve. Kia ora.
Good, all right, all for that, to vote, all in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that is carried. That item is 6.4 on page 18. Page 18. Committee recommendations. I'll move, like to the seconder.
Second.
Thank you. Any commentary from you? Members. All right, we'll put that to vote. All in favour say aye. 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 Those opposed, abstentions, that is carried. Now go to item 7.1 on page 93. The council report, the council make report submitted by myself, additionally councillors Court, Alkia, Aruga, Kappa, Parkman, and Rusich. I will move if I can get a second.
Is it possible to accept the tabled report by Councillor Petrovich today?
Yes, I do not have one there. But we've got one 18.
Yes. Does everyone want it printed?
We'll catch up with the letter, but yeah, did you and did you see him? Just quickly, so I was for her at our last council meeting with the lack of reports from everyone. We were having workshops on responsibilities and workload and remuneration in the coming. Need to confirm a date. That will come to our board with the student meeting. The next determination won't come out until April. So there's some time in any case. But just quickly on my report, it's been very busy. I've got a few attachments to my report there. One of them was at our Where's Task Force for Jobs core meeting, we had a presentation from the Tertiary Education Commission. One of the things that they're doing to try and expose, is that the right word? Expose Tamariki to, like a plethora of different career opportunities that are out there. Because, well, one, they're upgrading the careers website because it's old there. Two, they've done studies on Tamariki. Our kids still just want to be rugby players or teachers or farmers. And actually there are, it's like 5,000 different career opportunities out there, but because of our geography and our culture in Aotearoa, actually for a lot of our kids, they don't know because they've never been exposed to this sort of career. They don't even know it exists or anything like that. So the Tertiary Education Commission have started a program for Inspiring the Future, which is on page 97 of the presentation, where they get groups of volunteers, the people who are in different careers that go out to schools and do this really cool like assembly with the kids, where they got to guess what job they do and that sort of thing. They need more volunteers of people to sign up to their website and then get around the north. One of the cool things is we will up here have Te Reo Māori, full Te Reo Māori version of that. I think that might be next term. Up your way, Councillor Alkia, so we don't let our kura up in the queue. So check out that website, share it with your network. If you know you've got a mate who's doing something really random but really cool, encourage them to sign up because then they can, share that with our tamariki out here. My other two attachments are the strategic plan for the Youth Task Force for Jobs, which has just been confirmed. It's also a great thing we've got another tranche of funding for our community employment program up here to get some more rangatahi into mahi. And my final attachment is Local Government New Zealand's format report. But just to put it on our agenda so that Whānau members can see the value that we get out of our membership with Local Government New Zealand and we've been incredibly busy as an organisation. And that is me, Deputy Bedford.
I wanted to take the opportunity to highlight for staff in the room that I'm still waiting for Hihitahi Rise. Staff at the NTA had applied to Waka Kotahi for funding for business case in response to severe weather events that had caused the road to further slip, which caused impacts for some of our infrastructure, the water and wastewater pipes apparently, and also caused a fire because the power into a house next to the water tank tripped, whatever it is, it caused the fire. So still waiting for next steps for Hihitahi Rise. I'm being called regularly by the residents there. And Ōhāwai stormwater, that was something that came up in it's in my report, but it's also something that was raised in the long-term plan submissions. And I think we had a proactive response that we were going to be able to deliver. I'd like an update on that. And then I just wanted to share with elected members that there's some awesome work happening in Kawakoa behind the, it's in two places actually. The Kawakoa slip that I bring up in my report, there's a team of contractors working right now to address that very long-standing slip, 20 years worth of work that has, fallen away. There's steel beams going in, so hopefully the security of the buildings there, our stormwater network and the state highway will be safe when that's all done. And I know that this has been a big pressure on Kevin's team because all the businesses are complaining about the mess in one of the shops there. So, when the slip is finished, the buildings can get fixed and businesses can reopen. And just want to acknowledge NRC's work happening alongside the three bridges there as part of Taumata River Liaison Group project to address flooding issues. That's 3 decades in the making. It's taken us 3 decades to get that work done. So yeah, kia ora.
Goodness. Sorry, that's great. Honest, I'm 3 decades.
Can you stop talking, Kelly?
I would ask for Councillor McNally and Councillor Raj to provide verbal updates, please. We'll go to you, Councillor McNally.
I got the message last time round, but I'm still in the report. I attend multiple meetings and they're all recorded as per the minutes, my attendance or not. Several other meetings I have that are confidential and I can't talk about here. A couple of ones that I can talk about is the Regional Transport Committee approved the Regional Land Transport Plan, which is forwarded to the Regional Council, which is kind of weird, and then it's sent on to government. Roading conditions still my main focus. Back to basics, looking forward to that. Professional truck drivers, the truckers continue to advise me of poor road conditions. It's expensive when you wreck a bit of gear on a big truck, whether it's a mirror or an aerial or a stabiliser bar in your steering. They're all $1,000 plus every time they break something. Vegetation overhangs, another one that's still coming up. So I'm looking forward to a prioritised work program of our roading going forward. Deputy Mayor Stratford and I, we met with staff yesterday and had an update on Neil Housing consent from the Environment Court. And the one thing that came out of that for me was the concerns around council processes through the consent process, going way back to the resource consenting process, as the infrastructure impacts of that development don't appear to have been captured accurately. The one that obviously is nice, will focus on is additional traffic and pedestrian movements. Staff at the time didn't appear to address that, which will impact Kapiro, Landing Road, Riverview area, Waikato Road, and coming back across the bypass. The info suggests that when fully developed, that development will produce an additional 30% in traffic volumes. So if you just think of those roads and footpaths in that area. The other thing Deputy Mayor Stratford and I were involved in, there's no Class 5 truck driver training available in the farms anymore. And I suggested, or Kelly supported me, that they should look at the Task Force for Jobs, get some support from that area. The two that approached us, they're working on something, they've got the trucks, and they're just doing a pilot program at the moment. I think that's today, is it? Can you remember, Paul, Deputy Mayor? Don't worry. But anyway, it's...
The course is now next week.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So that's just some of the stuff that I'm involved with. But otherwise, yeah, you'll find me sleeping under a coat or something.
Unlikely. Thank you, Councillor McNally. We'll go to Councillor Radich and then Councillor Kappa.
It's under.
You there, Moko?
Yes. Kia ora, Councillor Radich.
Kia ora. Sorry, I'm unable to attend physically. Yeah, I didn't really put a report in, but all I want to say is this, that, and I brought it up before, I just had another RFS thrown at me yesterday by a resident on Oku Road. She was pretty uptight, very uptight. Was quite abusive at times. And I virtually said to her, look, I can't help you really. She put in an RFS. They did acknowledge it and said they'll do something about it. It was 7 months ago and nothing got done. And, this is an ongoing issue, and I know, Mayor Moko, that you're going to look into it. But we need to act on this very, very quickly because it's virtually getting out of control. And already the guy that's put an RFS several times for Matthews Avenue, he has now gone to the press. So that's my only item that I'm really worried about. Otherwise, yep, everything else is going well. Thank you.
And Councillor, it'd be good to get a copy of the RFS off you. The Chief Executive and I will be on Okahu Road tomorrow so we can see what the heck's going on.
Will do.
Councillor Kappa.
Thank you very much, Mr. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things from my pages. And I first of all wanted to congratulate our project sponsor for executing our karakia yesterday for the beginning of our Civic Centre and blessing the site alongside Councillor Nakana and ourselves to begin the demolition of the Civic Centre effective from Monday next week, and that project will move along. So that's on the way. The other points I wanted to bring up was the Turner Centre in Kirikiri. We've finally just about got to the completion. I think it has completed of the contract between council and the board there to execute the ownerships and so forth. So that's in the running. And I just wanted to highlight in terms of the decision on Sports Northland that due to difficulties around funding and so forth, discussions are now starting to shape and move toward the facilities that Port Northland are currently managing that are owned by council. And I think we've talked about that. This is an old one in regards to the Bow Balance facility. And I think the last one, I just wanted to tap into Mr. McNally's report in terms of the overhanging vegetation. And I wanted to get some sort of idea of how privet, just like dust, is to issues around people's health, how privet is going to be addressed by council, and particularly that in our on growing in our areas.
That's obnoxious. We refer to the regional council.
Oh, that's where I go.
I've
And
been cutting it down for years.
yeah,
My kids get badly affected by it. It's not that now.
and all of it goes to Northern Region Council.
Thank you.
Councillor Research.
Yeah, thank you. And just on page, I just want to point out a few errors I made, typos. Page 162, I think. That's all for month of June, so when you see an 05 there, it should be an 06. And on page 163, where I put 1905, it should be put in 06. But just a further comment, looking at some of the Beauty Matters stuff I mentioned there, I was really impressed when we visited the work being driven by Russell Fuller at extension to the cycleway from Russell to the ferry. That is working out at $20 a metre. That's what volunteers can do. So it's a good example of what locals and that work can actually achieve and save costs. I saw the Matariki picture in there with a bit of astronomy associated with it. And since we're celebrating Matariki, so I hope you're forgive me for that. But just Councillor McNally made a comment, and I agree 100% with, and that's his version of the report that he gave, that we need to be considering the impact of development. And I remember hearing in a submission from a civil contractor who did development work, and he said that the truck movements in doing that work is equivalent to two rotations of a forest each year. So that puts it in perspective. And I know in Kerikeri, where my brother was, Rome Road was smashed by a developer, the heavy trucks. It was really looking quite nice until it got smashed up. Anyway, that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed or abstentions, that is carried. We'll now go to page 193, our open resolutions update. So move, like for the seconder. Thank you, Councillor McNally. Councillor McNally. Anything on page?
Yeah, just Tuna Centre stormwater catchment, spent some money. I'd like to see the report come out of that, but I see there's nothing else till the next LTP to do anything about it anyway.
Bit concerning.
Deputy Administrator.
Just remember in the LTP, Councillor McNally, we put a resolution that there's two projects, that Kirikiri Stormwater, and what's the other one? Yeah, so staff is still to come back to us, so it's maybe going to be
Heritage bypass and Tuna Centre.
yeah, so maybe we want a date for when that's coming to us.
All right, we'll put that to a vote. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed or abstentions, that is carried. I'll now resolve to exclude the public. For items 8.1, confirmation of our previous public exclude minutes. Item 8.2, new links request over. Item 8.3, all community and political Westchester is letting in with the statement fulfillment. Item 8.4, community public figure limits, and item 8.5, our council public exclusions has been solution update. So move that we allow our communities and our occupancy deals to remain. Seconded by the Community Shepherd. All those in favour, say aye. Those opposed or abstentions, that is carried. Like we did our live stream. We'll go. Yes, because we're going into public exclusion. Good and welcome back to our council meeting. We considered a number of papers in the public excluded section of this meeting. We will be releasing our resolution for item 8.3, the autonomy and Cornwall wastewater treatment plant sludging and restatement fulfillment with the financial figures redacted. Otherwise, everything else will be staying in PX. With that, I will close our meeting with karakia. It wasn't half an hour, Councillor McNally, but it was quite short. So, tātou kia tātou katoa, te atu whātua tātou ari ki o he kretu e tau hau te ato na te whiwhinga tahitanga ki te waru e tapu ake ake.